The psychedelic revolution is here. If you want to integrate your visionary experiences into your purpose, get clear on your entrepreneurial path, and help people while you do what you love, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to The Psychedelic Entrepreneur, Medicine for These Times. I'm your host, Beth Weinstein. I'm a spiritual business coach, 3-time entrepreneur, and a lifelong student of psychedelics and sacred plant medicines. You carry your own unique medicine, and your medicine is what we need for these times. This podcast will help you to share your medicine so you can create transformation in the world. Listen in on conversations with psychedelic leaders, changemakers, and conscious entrepreneurs who are living proof that a better world is possible when you follow your heart and live in alignment with your soul. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Medicine for These Times. I'm Beth Weinstein. Before we begin, I just want to remind you to please leave a review, especially if you're listening on Apple. I would appreciate it a lot. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge that I have recently finished the Psychedelic Sacred Medicines Soul's Purpose and Business Online Summit. For those of you who joined in, thank you so much for making it a huge success. It was really incredible. We had over 8,000 people join in this community who are interested in learning about the interconnection between psychedelic sacred medicines and really coming into your soul's purpose, because you are needed at this time on planet Earth. So I am here shooting this podcast with a new camera setup and my phone setup with new lighting, because one of my friends is helping me to up level in my visibility on social media, on video, and really take it up a notch. I am going to be revealing new branding sometime, hopefully very soon this fall. And it's just part of my own soul's purpose and my soul growth to go through this process of stepping into the bigger version of myself as a leader, as a person who knows that I'm here of service and I'm able to serve more and more people out there on planet Earth during these really challenging, interesting times. And I want to talk about what's very alive for me right now, which is being very triggered, showing up on video. So this friend of mine, who, shout out to Lizzie, is an amazing woman who has a massive social media following and really is just speaking her truth out there in the world and has gotten a lot of followers by doing this, and also grown her business and done a lot of really interesting projects. And she's helped some friends of mine to grow their businesses and grow their following. And I have asked her for, I don't know how long now, like almost a year, to help me out. And here she is helping me out. And yesterday we did some work around how to shoot content about your life, about more than just speaking about business, about really bringing yourself forward. And what's funny is this is what I teach in my group mastermind program. I am there teaching my clients how to be their most authentic selves out there in the world, unapologetically, and really just be living and embodying their soul's purpose without caring what other people think. Because really, we're in this times that we're in that are very heated and divisive over really everything there is, right? You cough and someone just doesn't like the way you cough and they will tell you about it. So it's scarier than ever to put yourself out there authentically. And a lot of my clients go through this really deep process of wondering how you grow a business with authenticity, and also with all that fear of judgment and being seen. And I talk about this a lot, and I've told a lot about my own process of how I never even wanted to do videos when I started my coaching business. I was already coaching. I got kind of lucky. Well, I didn't get lucky. I was just really moving into my purpose. I got my first clients just by really sharing my passions. And then there was a point where I wanted to really make it a serious business and be able to be supported from it. And I knew that was going to take really putting myself out there and getting uncomfortable and reaching more people. So I knew I wanted to do a summit. I knew I wanted to go into video and do online, like online marketing. And it was really scary. And I went through such a deep process doing it. And then I got over it and I realized it's actually fun because I get to connect with you and I get to connect with human beings and really share my uniqueness and my unique medicine and make a difference in the world. For example, every year that I run my psychedelic sacred medicines and Soul's Purpose and Business Summit, I have thousands of people who are saying, thank you so much. This really meant a lot to me. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world. And then I have a couple people that are like, yelling at me for something they don't like. For example, this year I had one person say mean things to me because they didn't like one of the speakers, Then someone else called me a really negative name on Instagram for absolutely no reason. And these things hurt, they don't hurt me like they used to at all. But when you're a newer entrepreneur, which a lot of my clients are, they're either totally new or in their first 1 to 3 or 4 years, it can really sting and it makes you really have setbacks. Like I was being seen and I was showing myself and then someone criticized me, or even a good friend said something, or even my mom thought I was crazy. Or I hear from my clients all the time, like, what are my coworkers going to think? A lot of my clients work at jobs and then start a business. And it's like, what is my boss going to think? What about my mom? What about my own children? So this is like the wounded healer in me, right? Like I help others be their authentic truth and really put it out there in the world from a place of service and love and like zero expectations other than doing it really for yourself and for the others that you're here to serve. And I am doing this for myself and the others I want to serve. And this is why I hired Lizzie. And yesterday we went through this really deep process of doing some content that I would never normally think to do. Like really sharing myself, my life, like being in outfits that don't look good on me, at least in my opinion, or like, going out in the rain and doing things and wearing my outdoorsy boots that I wear in my yard and my garden to deal with, the bees and weeding and moving firewood. But like, this is my life and it's the life I've always dreamed of. And I love it. And I love that I'm able to have this life I want and do the work I want. And this is what I want you and others watching this to see. But I have to say, I got really activated and triggered by this process of being seen in a new way, having people, see my butt in leggings, which, by the way, I wear almost every single day. And I go everywhere out in public like this. So I have no problem like going dancing and running around Burning Man half naked or, going and working out in shorts and a little tank top. Like, that's who I am. I've, been running marathons for years and ran in tiny shorts and half, like as bare as possible, a little tank top. But for some reason, showing up in front of thousands of people with my truer self, like a whole new level of like, here's my authentic way of being in the world. It got very activating. And I will tell you right now, even recording this with a new camera and with my phone paying attention to what I'm saying, it's super activating. And here's the thing, she walked me through this process of really exploring my limiting beliefs and stories around social media and being seen and what I'm tolerating. And it was interesting because I caught myself getting a huge taste of my own medicine, realizing that, these are the kind of things I walk my clients through, but here I am, like, not really taking my own medicine. So, the whole day was very challenging. Even today, like, doing this is very challenging. And I realized that the only way through is through, which I say to my clients all the time. And you really have to feel the feelings, this is part of it. So I always tell the story of the first time I decided to do video. I happened to be dating this guy who had a lot of YouTube followers. He was like a well-known handpan player. And he helped me make my first video. And I broke down in hysterical tears for 2 hours straight afterwards. Like I did not want to do video ever. And this was in like 2016, I think. And And then I just kind of got over it. Then I just like went through the fire, like very phoenix rising out of the ashes energy of having to do things that are very uncomfortable, that like really hurt you almost on some level, right? Here's the thing that I find interesting as I was thinking about this after I had a complete and total flip out last night, like saying all these things like, I don't care, I don't want to do this, just like I was just so activated. But then, I realized I say a lot of this to my clients about like, you have to feel the pain fully in order to like go into the fire and like be in that fire for a while and just like cry if you have to, scream if you have to, like feel the depths of the discomfort of showing up in the world, like really feeling like, ooh, this is like not the most comfortable thing, but this is the expansion process. This is something I've been witnessing in my group mastermind program for the however many, 6-7 years I've been running it. And to the point where now when I see my clients going through really painful processes, which every year I have at least a few clients that go through major initiations while in my group mastermind program. Very often it's their personal life, sometimes it's their work or their business. It doesn't actually matter what it is, but they get put through the ringer. And what I've seen is the ones that are able to really go into the depths of the pain and the discomfort and the knowing like the only way through is through, the ones that do that always end up leveling and getting these huge results right afterwards. And I don't mean like 3 years later, I mean like a month later. So one of my current mastermind clients went through like a very painful physical issue a few months ago. And it was definitely out of the blue, unexpected, not what she wanted to deal with. It was in the middle of launching her first ever amazing, like, year-long group program. Like there was a lot going on. It was the last thing she needed to deal with was a physical problem. And thankfully she had done enough inner work and, walked the medicine path for a while to know like, wow, I am going through an initiation, and you can't really run and hide from initiations. You can't really run and hide from the discomfort. It's just like being in a psychedelic ceremony or a psychedelic journey. Whatever you resist persists, as they say. So you can go and try to run from what the discomfort is in your psychedelic journey or in your business or in your life or in whatever initiation you're going through. But what will happen is if you don't actually fully go into it and feel it all the way and like sit in the discomfort of like what I'm feeling right now is like my body literally feels so uncomfortable doing this with this whole new setup with like 10 lights and I can't even tell you what's going on. It's like so much for me. And I know that I'm going to get used to this. And I know it's actually kind of fun. Here I am getting to be very transparent about my own personal process of discomfort and up-leveling, because that's what it takes. And what I see is the people that have the resilience, like the inner emotional intelligence and the emotional resilience to actually like sit in that discomfort, to know that this is that transmutation of the phoenix out of the ashes rising up into the whole next level of your business. And the more you can actually do this and like be in that discomfort fully, like the quicker the actual initiatory process is. And so this client of mine who was going through a lot of lessons, and I knew it, I could see what the lessons were. And I talked to her about it on our group mastermind calls. They would come up and she would share about it, and I would ask certain questions, and, it was very clear that it was like, what is the lesson here? What is the gift that is going to be on the other side of all this? And, now it's like a month and a half later, not even, it's like a month later, and she launched her first big group program, filled it up with a great amount of women that are in her incredible, container. And then on top of it, all these other opportunities have been coming up. Like her retreat is selling out and people are asking her for collaborations. There's money coming in. There's, it's like all of a sudden there's this growth. And she even said, wow, like I need my body and nervous system to even adjust to this up level, to this expansion, to that level of really feeling like, wow, the same feeling that we feel in our bodies as we do scary things like showing up on video in a different way and putting yourself out there in the world and like doing things maybe you don't even want to do. Like I was, when I was activated last night, I was like, oh, I just wish social media would like go away, but I don't. I actually don't. How could I say that? It's been an amazing tool. I love connecting to you. I love connecting to my audience. I think it's actually here helping the awakening of the planet. So why would I say something like that? Even though, of course, at times I feel like I wish it was dead. And I know all of us feel that way. But, the more I can actually just feel the discomfort in my body and know that, okay, this discomfort will transmute and become that phoenix rising out of the ashes. And then it will become so easy to do this again and again and again. And on a whole new level, which is for me, my commitment over the last, couple years in my own business has been to be much more vulnerable, to be even more real, even though the one thing I hear all the time is that, Beth, you always feel so authentic. And it's because I'm a Sagittarius. I've always just been myself. But there's always this depth of like new layers to be sharing with your audience and with the world. And not only that, but like with your friends, with your family, with your own community, with your partners. All of us, this is the one thing I've learned over the last, definitely since working with medicine in a very, very deep way, but definitely over the last few years is how many people out there are just constantly wearing masks, and even on social media or even on podcasts, like how many people are just pretending to be this, perfect leader that's got all their shit together. Like I'm the expert and I know everything. Here's the thing. Even the biggest experts on planet Earth, we all know that they have their own problems. They have, arguments with spouses and partners. They like have their haters on the internet. Like we're all human. We're all just trying to figure it out. We're all hopefully attempting to do our best. And I did a recent episode on this, but with, the growth of AI, I think the one thing that it's going to have to become the one act that, we have to do, or the not act, but the one action, that's what I mean by act. The one action you have to do as an online entrepreneur or especially as an entrepreneur in the transformational or psychedelic space is be like so honestly, vulnerably, authentically you on such a deep level where people are really knowing like I can trust that you are the one who gets to help me expand in my soul's purpose or heal like deep soul level traumas that have been in my body and being and epigenetics for multiple generations. It's like, are you going to want to work with the person that's always looking perfect and like life is great and it's kind of an act and it's like a little contrived? Or are you going to work with someone who's just genuinely being themselves? That's why when my friend set up this new beautiful setup that I hope I can replicate one day, I will not touch this for hopefully very long. I said, I don't even know what to record now because I was going to record a different episode. And she said, I was like, how about I just record being triggered on social media or being triggered making content for social media? And she said it. She's like, yeah, that's what's fresh, right? That's what's alive for you. And it's true. It's like when I did my recent summit episodes or summit interviews, interviewing my guests for the summit, for some of them, I just opened up by saying like, what is alive for you right now? Because you want to have authentic conversations. You want to hear the person's real self and not just their facade of trying to sell, I don't know, like a microdosing course or something. You know what I mean? Like the sales, the selling, which of course, let's get real. In the end, every one of us that have online businesses or any kind of business, in the end, doesn't matter what we're selling, we're all selling something and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But the more authentic we can be and the more of service, giving, and being generous, and really showing up in that vulnerability, the more people are actually going to trust you and trust that you can actually hold them on their journey, especially if you're doing work with people's souls, like in the psychedelic space, or as a coach, or as a somatic therapist, or as someone who's helping people heal their traumas, or a breathwork facilitator, or a men's coach, or a death doula, or sacred sexuality work, or I could go on and on. This is a lot of my clients doing these amazing, really touchy, vulnerable subjects. And it's like, yeah, if someone out there wants to work with someone who's going to help them finally stop being controlled by their trauma patternings, are they going to hire just random person off of Instagram that just looks perfect all the time? Or are they going to hire someone where they really feel like they know you and what you're all about? And you've shown that side of yourself and talked about your own traumas. Like for those of you who follow me, like you've heard about some of the stuff that I've been working on for God knows how long in my life, and with medicine, with somatic therapy and psychedelic integration and many, many, many other modalities. So that is what I really wanted to share today. I hope this encourages you to know that, yeah, even people like me who've been doing this, 7, 8 years, 9 years now. And actually before that, I had a different business where I was kind of doing the same thing. But back then, Instagram Reels didn't exist. But I was doing, other videos and other pictures of me. And I will tell this one story. When I went to launch my former clothing brand, which was a running apparel clothing brand that was manufactured in New York City, because I was a really big runner and I was very passionate about it. I will never forget, I had a good friend who worked in marketing, Joe. And when I created the website and the social media and the blog and, all the things that I needed for marketing an online business, the one thing that was missing was me. And he had told me, Beth, there's nowhere on your website that says anything about you. And I was like, well, I don't want anyone to know this business is run by me. And I'll never forget, even back then, it was 2012, I think, or 2011, sometime around then. I remember being so upset. I couldn't even wrap my head around the fact that a running clothing brand would need my story, pictures of me, my history about running, my history of working in the apparel industry. It did not make sense to me that why would I need to tell about myself when I'm selling the most perfect pair of running shorts on the planet, which, by the way, they were amazing running shorts and I still have them and they still have not fallen apart 10 years later. But I remember it was the same trigger. It was the exact same trigger. And it's this deep wounding around being seen, like so many of us have. And it's weird because I'm a Sagittarius with a Leo moon and a Capricorn rising, and I have no problem being at a party or going dancing or being in the public eye. I've never had a problem just being kind of the life of the party. But when it's sharing the depth of your soul and who you are and your vulnerability and even physically having new kinds of pictures being shown, videos, things like this, it's so I just want to say and acknowledge back in whatever it was, 2012-ish, when I went through that process, and then I went through that process again in 2016. And I've gone through different versions of that process as I've up-leveled, as I've, done the podcast or done more out there. It's, these layers. It's just different layers of your soul's evolution and your growth. And know that it gets easier, but the only way through is through. This is why I design all of my programs, including private coaching, group programs, mastermind, to be a simple step-by-step process where when you take those little steps, it's chipping away and peeling away at all those layers and the triggers. And so then you get more confidence in step number one. You get more clarity. And the clarity then leads to this knowing, this inner knowing of this is what I'm here to do. And then the inspiration starts coming through because then you feel oh, I have the confidence, I have the clarity. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe not 100% confidence because, like we're all human. There are times where I have 100% confidence and there's times where I have, 75% or whatever. But when you're held with a coach and a community of like-minded people, they're very supportive, walking you through the steps to be that phoenix walking into the fire, I'm telling you, taking the little steps into the fire and then going in, being held in a like really safe, supportive container is so much easier than jumping off a gigantic cliff into a gigantic fire all by yourself and then trying to like scrape yourself out of the fire and getting stuck in that fire for, let's say, 2 years or 6 months. That's hard. Plus, you're all alone. And that is the difference between being in a mastermind or a group community that you're being held in versus just doing it yourself. And then honestly, what happens is a lot of people, they get into that fire by themselves and that's when they quit. And they actually crawl out of the fire and go back to where they came from. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just your soul is going to then repeat that again until it learns this lesson, which is that you have to go all the way through and then rise out like that beautiful phoenix rising out of the ashes. So I invite you to consider applying for the True Path Entrepreneur Group Mastermind Program. The new cohort starts at the end of January, but we are taking applications starting now. Please, the sooner you can apply, the better it is because you will actually get the lower rate, the 2023 rate versus the 2024 rate. And, I can tell you right now, the sooner you join, the more energetic shifts start to occur in your reality, in your life, in your business. And why not start your business today versus months from now or even years from now? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like it, please feel free to share and leave a review. Thank you so much for your support. It's an honor to have you here. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're feeling inspired, I'd appreciate it if you showed your love with a review. And check out my YouTube channel where you can find the video version of this podcast. You can also head to bethaweinstein.com to learn more about me and grab my free business growth trainings. Remember, you carry your own unique medicine, and your medicine is what we need for these times.